Hello, my friends. Episode 4,986 of the Suited Kings podcast. Happy to bring back another episode back from the Suited Kings studio here in Minnesota. Wes, no more.
I
What?
was just looking at you. I'm like, are we going to have to restart this one? Which, to be fair, we've done that plenty of times.
We're letting it ride today, baby.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I don't even actually know what episode. It's somewhere in the 30s now, but
Yeah, I want to say it's 32 or 33. I think 33.
we're not here to rub, or to rub. We're not here to stuff down how many episodes we've done down people's throats, because it's just, this is a learning content. We're here to help people. They don't care about what episode it is. All right, I'm rambling.
I couldn't have said it any better myself.
Thank you. I'm rambling. But yeah, so another episode. Wes is back from Iceland, finally. We're a day late on this episode. If you guys are listening to this, it'll be Friday and not the usual Thursday. We apologize about that. Next week, we'll be back to our normal schedule, but Wes is now in studio with me.
Where we will be for like 2 weeks, and then we'll be in Vegas.
And then we'll be in Vegas. However, our new studio will be in Vegas in our house there. So we'll still
we
have
won't stop.
Yeah. Wes is going to bring down my gear when he drives in there. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited to do some recording down there and talk about all the things that happen while we're in Vegas. Wes, how was Iceland?
It was cool. We were there a long time, probably. So we were there 11 days, and we saw a ton of things. I would say the highlight for me was we did this speedboat, puffin, and whale watching tour.
Okay.
And saw a ton of puffins, but then saw 3 blue whales like up close, which are pretty rare. They're like endangered.
Oh, wow.
Biggest animal that's ever lived.
Yeah.
And then we saw 2 humpbacks. One of them got right up close to the boat.
I would love to do that. I thought you were going to say your favorite part about the trip was coming home. Just because the weather. I know the weather was crap out there. Did you get any good weather?
Yeah, it was better than expected. It was only rainy for like 2 days.
Okay.
It wasn't, the weather wasn't too bad.
And you didn't get to play any poker out there?
I played a couple tournaments on ACR, like late reg, but then I had
After the family was sleeping or something?
Yeah, so the reason we didn't do another episode while I was out there was because, they have the different type of outlets in Europe.
Yeah.
And
you didn't have one?
Well, so we had adapters, but for some reason, so the USB ports worked, but the plugins, my computer charger just stopped working.
Oh, yeah, you told me that. Did you end up getting it to work when you got back home so you didn't need to buy a new one?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did buy a new one, but that one also didn't work. But now I have 2 working ones.
Well,
so
I think it's time to invest in a new computer anyways.
I don't know.
I think you just did buy. I'm just kidding anyways. I'm particular about my computers.
Yeah. No, I was glad that wasn't the issue.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Did you get to see the Northern Lights from up there?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, did you know that they're happening?
I did, because in actually my poker group chat, people were sending pictures.
I was told that Iceland's one of the greatest places on Earth to actually see the Northern Lights. That's why I inquired.
Well, it was just light out all day.
Yeah.
There were only a couple hours of
Yeah.
nighttime.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, glad to have you back, kind of. You're still as ugly as I remember.
Yeah, I bet. You're threatened. Someone's threatening your ugliness.
Yeah, I just get defensive and start attacking immediately. But happy to be back. Today's episode, it's good. We're going to talk about some blind v blind action, huh?
Yep.
I think we'll get into some specifics, talking about kind of 2 different stack depths, discussing that. And then I would actually, before we get started on that, I would like to discuss your thoughts on blind versus blind, what the differences are when you're heads up blind versus like, playing, at a full ring table where you open cutoff and then just call. Like what kind of different thoughts do you have when it folds you in the small blind in terms of ranges, in terms of how you're going to play it, how different the game is in general when you're heads up in a situation like that versus not.
And just to clarify, when you say heads up, you're not talking about 2 people left in a tournament. You just mean folds. Okay.
Folds to the blinds.
That is a whole different thing too, obviously, because then the small blind is in position. But
right. Yeah, no. In this case, heads up, I'm saying when it folds to you all the way, or folds all the way to small blind.
Yep.
And there's still multiple people in this tournament.
Yeah, so two of the biggest things right off the bat are are. As the small blind, you really don't want to fold much. There are some hands you can fold, but it's kind of just the shit triangle that Angela talked about.
Yep.
And
shout out to Angela Jordison, who we had on our podcast a few weeks back.
Yep. And when you raise, the raise size should be bigger because you're out of position. And so if you're min raising out of the small blind, you're just not going to get folds unless there's some crazy ICM pressure or your opponent has like deuce 7 off.
Okay.
So
does that change the amount of hands you're folding as the depths of the stacks get more shallow? I'm saying, like, you know, when you are under a certain amount of big blinds,
a little, not a ton, because the sizing changes a little.
Okay.
You know, we'll see. We're not going to look at any super deep spots, but when you're deeper, the small blind, you should be raising like 4x. And then so we're going to look at 35.
And that's because of due to being out of position.
Yep. Out of position. You have a lot more incentive to just take down the pot now. Mm-hmm. And post flop, your opponent will be at an advantage. So you want to be able to like lower the stack to pot ratio.
Yeah, lower their odds of calling and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one thing, we're going to kind of baby this a little bit. We're going to make it understandable for the entire crowd of listeners. So the reason why we're going to size up here, say the big blind has one big blind out and we have a half a big blind out. We'll raise to 4 big blinds because you said they have an advantage post flop, which is just that they're in position, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on the flip side, this is the one position where it's totally okay to do a lot of limping too. And that's just because you already have half of a big blind invested, and then there's that ante in the middle. So let's say it's 500, 1,000 with 1,000 big blind ante. So there's 2,500 in the middle. You have 500 to call. You're already getting 5-1. So while your opponent playing in position will have an advantage, it doesn't mean you should fold much because you're just getting such a good price.
Yep.
And so you can do a lot of limping out of the small blind. And this is true of any stack depth.
Okay.
And then
I personally am a big fan of the limp from the small blind, especially when we're heads up, like 2 people left in the tournament. It depends. I'm not always playing that strategy, but when you're limping 100%, you keep your opponent guessing on if they're opening, you're going to be 3-betting and et cetera, et cetera. So
there are some
I'm already
players.
on a tangent.
No, yeah, but you're like 2 points that I thought of.
Yeah.
For one, so your heads up point, if you're in a tournament where they still do the big blind ante when you're heads up,
should almost never be folding.
You should at least limp because you're getting 5-1 in position, so you should even limp deuce 7 off. Second point, when we're in a normal small blind, out of position, I remember Doug Polk saying his strategy was just limp 100% of hands.
Yeah.
And while that's not the absolute best strategy, it's a simple one that isn't too bad. There are some hands that are a little bit too weak to limp, but he's probably used to being better than most of his opponents.
Yeah. Being able to outplay them post flop, so he's not afraid to take things to flops. Oftentimes,
yeah, and then
plus it kind of his range is still uncapped limping.
It is, yeah, and you should, when you're short, and we'll look at this, you can do a lot of limping with big pairs.
Yeah, and uncapped again, just to clarify for the people who aren't familiar, uncapped just means that we're limping all of our hands. Like they can't start ranging us yet because we're limping every hand, so they can't say, "Oh, he doesn't have aces here because he limped." We're limping aces.
Yes. We are, or he is at least.
Yeah.
And there are some situations where I would do the same thing. And the first stack depth that I wanted to dive into was 35 big blinds. And
okay.
So we're gonna, chip EV this. We're not gonna consider any ICM factors here.
Okay. Yeah.
It's tough to, there's a million different ways we could go, and I feel like when you're looking at spots, it's best to get a feel for what the correct play is as far as chip EV, because then you can kind of apply what you know about ICM to adjust from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally love getting, being in the blinds. A lot of people are like, oh, like they move and they're like, oh, I'm in the blinds. No, I love it because it's one of the more funner times to play poker. I don't even know how to word that correctly. Again,
You're
articulation.
going
You're
to
just going to get to play more hands.
in the big blind. You're going to play the most hands
Yep.
because
You're already in.
you're going to get a good price
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
But also ranges. I mean, you're going to play the hand so much differently than you would dependent on if you open early position or mid position. Just because ranges are a lot more uncapped. You're going to be, I don't know. It's just a more interesting version of the game, in my opinion. So looking forward to getting into this.
It is, and the last thing I'll say before we dive in is when a lot of people are used to maybe cash games, live cash games, where it folds to you in the blinds, and sometimes you just chop or do something like that, and then so blind versus blind play, I think, is one of the worst understood, even for me personally. I thought of doing this segment because I was like, I'm probably messing a lot of stuff up here.
And I think a lot of people. I'm glad you clarified also, because I mean, doesn't really relate to cash so much as oftentimes they'll just be chopped.
Yeah,
They'll just say,
obviously
hey,
in a
on to the
tournament
next
you're
hand.
not doing that, but
And you're also not often at 15 or 35 big blinds in a cash game because you're topped off or whatever.
also correct. Yeah, but it is different in the sense that it's the one position where your raise size will be drastically different. It is the one position where you're going to do a lot of limping from the small blind. So
Let's get into it.
let's get into it here. So, as I had said, 35 big blinds is kind of what we're going to look at first. And the way I wanted to do this is first we'll just look at pre-flop, what to do, and then we'll look at if the small blind raises, big blind calls. We'll look at some flops. And so I'm going to ask you, and, obviously.
We love playing this game.
Yeah, we've done this before. So I've written down on my notes here what the most common bet size is, or if it's a check. So for small blind C betting of different types of flops.
One big blind.
Yeah, or if it's like, there is one where it's one big blind. There's some where it's check. There's some where it's like 8 big blinds. And I'll give you the options.
Okay.
I'll give you like 4 options.
So do I get like the GTO wizard, like double check mark if I get it right? Like
Yeah.
the training?
Yeah, you totally do.
All right.
I'll
cool.
give you a high five.
All right, cool.
So, yeah, first let's take a look at pre-flop here. So small blind, as we had kind of talked about, really the only stuff we're folding is that shit triangle. That's going to be a phrase now.
Reoccurring phrase. So the shit triangle, again, for those who haven't or didn't catch that on the previous episodes, essentially is going to be, if you're looking at a pre-flop chart of all the hands, it's going to be the bottom 2 corners leading up to a triangle kind of in the middle. It's all the shittiest hands that you can possibly get, all the offsuit low cards essentially that are gapped, not connected.
Yeah. And so keep in mind, we can even limp in with 8-5 off, 10-4 off, queen deuce, jack 3. Like this, and we should still be limping in with 7 deuce suited. So no,
all suited hands.
When it folds to you in the small blind, you do not fold a suited hand unless there's some big ICM pressure.
Yeah. Note that down, guys. That's actually like a lot of people will overlook
unless
that.
Max and I are in the big blind and
Then you
we
can just
look
fold.
angry at you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the biggest point. And then I had said that the raise size is 4x when we're kind of deep. So in this situation, the best is 3.5 big blinds.
Okay.
Obviously, you can
When we're at
adjust it.
35-ish big blinds.
Yeah. So you can, make sure it's at least 3 and probably not more than 4.
Okay. Remember, this is ballpark, guys. If you're, you don't have to be at exactly 35 big blinds. It's just in the range, 30 to 40 big blinds, etc.
Yep. So now you've probably seen the chart here. I have it pulled up to make it easier on us. But without even staring at it for too long.
I can't even see the numbers
Okay,
on
that's
it,
good.
So, yeah.
That's good. You're getting old. Your eyesight's kind of going.
I did get LASIK, but yeah, your computer's like a 13-inch laptop.
That's true.
I can barely see it. Anyways, go ahead.
So I was going to ask, what hands from the small blind are the hands that you're going to raise 100% of the time here? What are the mandatory opens?
Like range-wise? I mean, here's the thing: is a lot of them I'm going to be limping, but it depends. If we're at 35 big blinds, that's not true. I'm not going to be limping all the time. Hands I'm going to be opening are suited broadways, oftentimes like King 10 suited and up, kind of things like that. I think.
Yeah.
I'd be limping a large majority of hands, and then obviously all the premiums.
Mm-hmm.
if I think, here's the thing though, there's kind of, I'll play exploitatively here as well. Is if I think the big blind's extremely aggressive, I'll just start over limping my strong hands as well, and then looking to
Limp
back raise. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there are a ton of hands where you can kind of go both ways. The so-called mandatory raises are ace-7 suited and up, really pocket nines and up, as far as pairs. And
this all makes sense. That's kind of intuitive, I feel like.
And then 6-3 suited, 5-4 suited, 9-4 suited, 10-4 suited,
9-4 suited, 10-4 suited. Are we all raising those?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are typically just gonna limp. I mean,
me too.
Yeah,
and it's not that you're making a ton more money by raising them. It's just those happen to be the hands that make the most sense as bluffs.
Can I bring up a point real quick that kind of aligns with this?
Yep.
So, a mistake that I made, I think, over the years, and I think a lot of people still make, is what to do if they have an ace here, like an ace reg, for example, unsuited. So ace deuce through ace 5, any ace essentially that's not considered a premium ace. So, but they'll think, here's the thing. If you have like 15 big blinds, you can just rip it, right? But if you're at 35 big blinds, I think these play better as a limp over a call. And I think a lot of people are just going to end up raising these because they're heads up and ace is usually the best hand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting. Those are completely indifferent. You can raise or limp.
Okay.
I would say I tend to limp those a little more because I don't think people are ISO raising. Like, obviously with an ace, it's like I can handle facing a raise too anyways.
Yeah.
But
it also kind of protects your range a little bit as well, limping those hands. Like, a lot of people will think from the big blind, hey, he's not limping an ace here, so et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I think the biggest mistake I have made historically that I've been working on is not raising enough with the weak suited or the weak anything. Their hands, like you want to raise. I know I said the 9-4 suited and stuff, but a lot of the weaker suited hands like 10-3, 8-6, Queen 3, Jack 5, all this stuff you can kind of go both ways with.
Yeah.
And I think historically I've just limped in more because I'm like, unless it's a player in the big blind who I really think folds a lot.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I was going to say, I should say. I think that in these spots specifically, it's dependent on what my read of the big blind player is, which I'll play it both ways dependent on what I think of the big blind player. If I think he's a tight pushover type of player, I'll start raising these weaker hands. You know what I mean? And if I think my opponent's going to be looser and calling, loosey-goosey, I'll start limping hands.
You might limp those hands. Like if they're...
Because I know they're going to...
If they're sort of like passive, but loose passive, where they're going to call a lot, then you exploit that by only raising the strong hands, but maybe raising them even bigger than you're supposed to.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's...
And right, because they're going to call, and then, they oftentimes will fold flops anyway, so I'll downsize or whatever. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So... Okay, and so we're going to look at if the small blind raises, then the big blind, how the big blind's supposed to respond. So 3.5 big blinds. There's a lot of calling the big blind still does. In fact, there's only one suited hand you're supposed to fold.
7 deuce suited.
Deuce.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And there are some more offsuit hands you're supposed to fold, but you're still calling with like King 5 off, King 4 off, Queen 6. Queen 5 is like right on the cusp.
Queen 5 off where they want us to call from the big blind, huh?
Yeah.
So do you guys see how big the ranges change when you're heads up in a blind versus blind pot like this? Like all of a sudden because Queen High, oftentimes when there's only 2 players in a hand and there's, blind versus blind, I should say, Queen High can oftentimes be the best hand.
It can be the best hand, and you're in position.
You're in position, yeah.
Even though the price isn't as good as you're usually going to get from the big blind, you can realize your equity so much more from playing in position.
Yeah. You get to make a lot more cool Queen High, King High type hero calls in these spots too.
You do. And one thing I want to point out is like the fact that big blind can have all the aces and all the kings pretty much sort of plays into the dynamic on the, we'll get into a flop that's sort of an ace king board.
Okay.
But one thing, usually when you open pre-flop and the big blind calls, you're used to the initial raiser, the pre-flop raiser having the range advantage there. And that's not necessarily the case because a lot of hands, like all the aces and kings are in the range of the big blind. And a lot of those hands, like for example, the small blind should be limping with a lot of the weaker aces, especially the suited ones.
Yep.
So when the small blind raises, the small blind actually doesn't have all the aces and kings. Whereas, if you open from the button, suddenly it's like every hand you play, you're going to raise, right?
Yeah.
So it does create an interesting dynamic. And obviously, in a lot of tournaments, you can't expect people to be doing this correctly.
Perfectly, yeah.
I mean, nobody will,
Right.
but
You see, it's more suitable. Online is where it kind of comes into play a little bit more. Live, people don't follow these as closely.
definitely. And so, big blind, what are the hands? So you're facing this raise.
3.5x.
Yep. What hands are you considering re-raising small with? And then are there any hands you're just shoving right now?
With 35 bigs. Yes. So I am probably So I'd say I would shove some hands. Ace queen off for sure.
Yeah.
Ace queen off is for sure getting sent in there. I think I might, maybe, actually probably not. I'd probably just 3-bet ace jack off.
Okay.
I don't think I'm ripping ace jack. I think ace queen off is the bottom of my send it range. You know what I mean?
Send it to the moon.
Yeah. And that's kind of changed over time. I know you and me have discussed how actually big you can shove ace queen off in some specific spots. I think this might be a good one. So what other, is there anything I still needed to answer in regards to
Your
that question?
small raises, like what are, as far as pocket pairs, what are you doing with all the pocket pairs?
Okay. So like, for example, let's say I have deuces through sixes here.
Yeah.
Deuces through sixes, I'm just going to flat.
Okay.
I think you can maybe have you could probably send those as well.
Yeah.
Right? I'm curious. I think those are hands probably aren't bad to just send it because they don't play very well post flop.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those hands you could send it. Although 35 big blinds to me is still super deep, and I value my tournament life greatly. I also think that these are still great set mining hands.
Yeah, you're in position, like you're deep enough, you're in position.
And I'm also going to float a lot of, say I have pocket fives and the flop comes king 10 4.
Yeah.
Our opponent, so say there's 8.5 in the middle or something like that.
It'll be 8. Yeah.
8 in the middle. Say my opponent C bets 3.5. I'm calling. Like I'm not folding yet.
Yeah, you can call, and then if it checks down, you get to win a lot.
Yeah, and you just get to win a lot. And then oftentimes he'll be checking. So I'm not always, obviously, but we're in position. So here's the thing as well is, so say he bets 3.5 or C bets 3.5, and then we call with 5. It was third pair here. Now that we called, oftentimes he's going to be checking turn, and then we can just check back and get to the river, and then reassess from there. Say the turn comes, say the turn pairs the board to 10, and then the river comes a deuce, and then he bets the river. I'm probably calling.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then the pairs like sevens and up. I think I'm probably gonna I'm probably gonna 3-bet these hands. Let's say if he makes a 3.5x, I might make it like. Here's the thing: at our stack depth, I don't want to make it too big.
Yeah.
I would say maybe I might go to like 8.5 or 9.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
The GTO wizard suggested size is 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
And what do you think about my hands in terms of what I was saying? I know these small pairs can rip here in GTO world.
Yeah, the small pairs can rip. They can call too, and I think it depends. There are a couple of considerations. Like one, if your opponent is raising a ton, if you think they're going to raise a ton from the small blind, if they're the kind of person who's going to put a lot of pressure on, it's a good time to jam those hands because they're going to have a lot of hands that just snap fold. And if you have pocket threes and your opponent has jack 6 suited, that's you would prefer to just fold
Yeah,
and
because
take their
they
3.5
have
bigs.
almost 50% equity against your hand.
Yeah, you get to fold out some flips, and even when you're called, a lot of times you're still flipping.
I like that, and I think I will take that in some cases. I think the cases I'll take that more necessarily or more so in is if I think my opponent is opening wide, or if I think my opponent's pretty tight. Say I got old man tight next to me,
and then he opens it.
yeah, I'm probably going to be set mining more so than just sending it.
I would agree. And ace queen, you were right. You can kind of 3-bet small or jam that. Ace jack, ace 10 off are kind of either jam or flat or raise small.
Raise small, okay.
The charts love ace deuce off here to jam for some reason. I don't know.
I don't love it.
Yeah, like
God, the
I know
solver's such a fish.
right, but it's
right. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm giving up a huge secret here, but if I rip 3-bet jam 35 big blinds here, blind versus blind. If you see me, as we were recording this, I'm going to go play the 800 at Canterbury after this. If I'm in this spot and I 3-bet jam, it's probably not ace deuce off. And so
yeah, I don't think
you guys can exploit me now.
Well, no, honestly, I have like haunting thoughts of like, if I were to jam ace, say I was in an online tournament and you were sweating me,
yeah,
and small blind makes a 3.5x, and I have 35 bigs in the big blind, and I just full send it with ace deuce and get snapped off by whatever the small blind hands. I could just imagine that haunting text you'd send me. Like, that's a punt.
Or that just the ... or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, like I just.
You know what? Though?
Your judgment haunts me sometimes.
It wouldn't even be that. You would do that against me.
More so than anyone else, probably. And I'm sorry if that last part got really loud. I might edit the volume on that a little bit. I thought that was really well. You keep me in check a little bit, Wes, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
I'm glad.
What would Wes do?
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
He would send ace deuce for 35 big blinds. Good to know.
Yeah. Well, it's so as people might know when they've played with us, like we will take the spots that are maybe you're supposed to 4-bet this now and again. But if we're against each other, it's 100% of the time.
The frequency increases through the roof. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, and we're getting on a tangent, but in this online tournament, I 3-bet ripped 20 big blinds with pocket nines, and you had like the call. I could tell you had the call any with ace 5 offsuit, and you just hit the ace.
I remember that.
And I was just like, what the hell was that?
Hit the rail, buddy. Oh man, that was good times.
No, we've had some good.
And honestly, just because it was you, it'd be a snap muck to anybody else.
Yeah.
I love the opportunity to just send Wes to the rail. It feels good.
I do think it was either a rebuy tournament or I had you covered because we were still playing afterwards. But it was about 20 effective that you just.
I remember that. I don't remember what tournament it was.
Yeah. Anyways, that's not important. So.
I just know how crazy, because you'll just have Queen 10-0 there.
I won't ever.
No, you will.
I promise you I will never.
Against me, though. Against everybody else.
Everything I've done against you is just perfect.
Anyways, let's get back on track.
Yeah. So as the big blind here facing the raise, the small 3-bets are going to be, like 10s and up. Ace queen suited, ace king suited, ace king off. Ace is actually you can 3-bet or
small.
just flat.
Yeah.
And then the other small 3-bets, you're just supposed to go low frequency with like the weakest hands. Where this is another one too. Where
recall this is in the big blinds range, right?
Yep. So like 9 deuce suited, jack 7 off, queen 5 off, king 4 off, king 3 off. It's the stuff, and this is another one too where I'm like, I don't know. I'm probably not doing this stuff.
What about the suited kings? Haha.
Literally just flatting king queen suited through king deuce suited.
100% flat. Okay, and same with say ace deuce through ace 5 suited.
Yep, all the way to ace jack suited.
So we're just the flats. Yeah. Okay. I think a lot of people might 3-bet hands.
Yeah, ace jack, ace 10 suited especially.
Yeah.
And,
So ace jack suited is a flat? 100%?
Yep. 98%.
Yeah, okay. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's it's not that there's a huge EV difference to raising. It just
how bad does it say if you were to just rip ace jack for 35 suited, ace jack suited? Whoa.
Ace Jack suited is so the EV of a call is 4.48 big blinds.
Okay.
The EV of a small 3-bet is 4.47.
Very close.
And then the all-in is 4.19. So it's
It's
worse.
a quarter of a big blind or
Yeah.
something.
So I would say that's a mistake. Obviously, you can rip Ace Jack offsuit. So Ace Jack suited is better
Because
but
it
it's
plays
just so
better
much more
post.
playable.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yep. And
It's kind of funny though, isn't it? I mean, it almost seems counterintuitive, but hear me out. It's like these hands that are worse, we want to be jamming, but these hands that are stronger, we don't want to be. But strictly because they play better post flop. But remember that I think it's important to realize your skill. One thing I want to mention is if you feel like you're not good at post flop, these hands might just be better as a jam post, considering all the errors you might make. It might be a jam pre, considering all the errors you might make post flop.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But what poker player is going to sit at the table and tell themselves, I play badly post flop?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people are not honest with themselves. And a lot of people think they play good even if they don't. So,
Yeah, I'll go with my read.
yeah, that's fair. Okay. Yeah, okay. Moving on.
Moving on. So let's say the big blind calls, which is what's supposed to happen with a lot of hands.
Yeah.
We get a flop. So we're going to go through a few different flops.
I look forward to this.
We're going to say it's 9 of hearts, 7 of hearts, 3 of diamonds. So 9, 7, 3, two-tone.
Okay.
As the small blind, not even thinking about what you have, but what do you think is the most common bet size? And I'm going to say...
Okay. 9, 7 of hearts, 3 of X. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And so first off, let's say between checking, betting 2 big blinds, 4 big blinds, and 8 big blinds. So
there's 8 in the pot, right?
yep. So quarter, half, full pot, or check.
I am going to. Here's the thing. Here's my first initial thoughts. I want to bet small to just fold out all the nothings. But I also feel like if we size up here to like half or so, we can maybe fold out some of these gutter type hands or put pressure on them to stop them from. And sometimes when you bet small, it induces your opponent or it allows your opponent to check raise lighter.
Sure.
Or not check raise, but
to
just
raise,
raise
yeah.
lighter. So sometimes I might do it as an exploitative type play and size up on a board like this. I think I'm just going to bet small, 2 big blinds.
Okay. So the most you're going to basically either check or bet pot here.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so
and-
I'm just off. I love it. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah. And this is now this is one where this might be a similar situation if you're in position.
And remember, we don't have a hand here. It's just what we're betting in the terms of what our range could be versus their range.
Yeah. So the hands we want to bet big, keep in mind the pocket pairs we're opening pre-flop are a lot of the bigger ones. And so all of these want to get a lot of money in right now.
Yep.
Especially like aces we can check.
It's a wet
but
board.
It's
This is
a wet board. And if our opponent has a 7 or a 9, there are a lot of bad cards that can come off for them. So we really want to get in money now. Also, there are a lot of very natural bluffs.
Yeah, a lot of our strong hands do want to get it in now. I do agree with that. This all makes sense. Another thing I want to mention vocabulary-wise to help people out, wet board. Wet board is essentially boards that have lots of potential draws on it.
Yes.
So like the 7, 9 of hearts, there could be flush draws and lots of straight draws available on this board,
Lots of storage. And then also...
which makes it wet.
It makes it wet. And then I think another thing about this specific board is there's still a lot of overcards that could come too.
Yeah. So say you have ace 8 or 7 9. Was it 7 9 3?
Yep.
So say you have ace 9 here or something like that.
Yeah. That's one of the perfect hands to just bet pot.
Yeah.
And
Defend your equity.
yeah, just try and get it in because
Yeah.
your opponent is going to be forced to continue with a lot of stuff you're beating.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so this, I mean, it's clear that this is spots that I'm also not very good at. So,
Well,
okay, no, hold on, buddy. You gave me that look.
yeah. So now. This isn't to be a dick or anything. This is probably one of the boards I would be good at, but there are a couple more that I would have been totally wrong on.
All right, I think you're a dick.
Yeah.
Well,
You're right. So yeah, you can bet big with some some heart draws, some backdoor diamond, some double backdoor stuff like queen eight of diamonds.
What's the takeaway from this? That we want to be betting bigger on these wet boards with range,
I think
blind versus blind, to just
the biggest thing is we will have so there are two things that dictate sort of your bet sizing and bet frequency. It's like or there are more than two things, I should say, but the range advantage and then the nut advantage. So right here, when you have the nut advantage, you want to bet bigger, but when you have the range advantage, you want to bet more frequently. So on this board, the small blind, we actually don't have a range advantage.
Okay.
But we have a nut advantage. We have all the overpairs.
because they didn't 3-bet pre.
Yeah. And so we can both kind of have two pair.
Yeah.
But
we have more of the overpairs.
we have more
instead
of the very strong hands
yeah.
here. So when we bet, we're gonna bet very large. But we're gonna check like 2/3 of the time if we're playing perfectly, And yeah, so I think the takeaway here is nut advantage. Like the strongest hands are the ones we'll have, but our opponent will probably hit this flop more often than we do.
Okay.
So we're gonna want to check a lot.
Okay.
As well.
I like it. Do we have another flop type to get into?
Yeah. Let's. Do we want to look at how the big blind responds? We might not even have time. We can edit that out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, you can leave it too. I don't care. But yeah, so let's just due to time wise, I feel like we got a lot of good information out of that. Yeah, let's continue moving on just to make sure we're within time range here.
Yeah, so let's just change one card from that flop. So instead of 9-7-3 with two hearts, let's change the 7 of hearts to the jack of spades. So now it's Jack 9-3 rainbow.
Okay. My first thought initially is that this isn't too far different.
Okay. And so
I feel like that's not the case though.
It's not. Which is, as you can kind of assume, is why
because there's still an equal amount of straight draws and an equal amount of flush draws.
No, so it's rainbow now.
Oh, I thought there was 2 spades. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay, retract. I thought there was 2 spades now instead of 2 hearts.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. So yeah, Jack 9-3 rainbow.
Okay, that changes. Ignore the last 20 seconds. Okay, so Jack 9-3 rainbow. So this board's a lot more dry.
Mm-hmm.
There's some straight draws in there. Don't get me wrong, but there's no flush draws, etc. There's backdoors, but
yeah, no flush draws. And so on the last one, even the
stuff.
7 and the 3 had some straight. So 5-6 would be a double gutter.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more gutters down there. Now it's only the Jack and 9 that are connected, and so there are a lot less draws.
Okay, give me a sizing here. I'm ready.
So check. Bet 2, 4, or 6 bigs. So
into 8 bigs.
Quarter, half, or 3/4.
Okay, so considering what we just discussed regarding the last board and why we're betting bigger here, I think that I'm going to bet small here.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 2 bigs.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the bet 2 and check are both like 35% of the time.
Okay.
So yeah, that is the most common.
Yeah, and
by
check
far,
seems fine as well. Okay, good.
The most
All right,
common
we're on
bets
track here.
Yeah.
But I see the reasoning why I'm betting small on this board. It's a lot drier, and oftentimes like we might be scared to try and get aces all in on this board in case our opponent has 2 pairs, etc. Right?
I mean, come on, you're not scared to get
All
aces
right.
in.
Okay. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I feel like the 2 pair. There's the same amount of 2 pairs probably. It's just a couple things. One, you are not. Like you're happy to get it in now, but you don't need to as much. There are less bad turn cards.
There's a lot less hands for our opponent to continue with.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, there's less stuff for them to continue with, so our range advantage is a little bit more of a thing here.
Okay.
And so we can bet more frequently. But then the nut advantage is just kind of, there's.
It's making more sense intuitively, though. We're betting larger on these wetter boards because our opponent's going to have a larger range of hands that they're forced to continue with. Mm-hmm. Whereas on this drier board, we can bet more frequently, but we can bet smaller because Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Cool. Should we? So I guess the one other thing that I was going to ask kind of about all these different flops, and we got into it on the last one. But for this one, there are some hands you want to bet larger, like 3/4 or full pot. And so the question is, what hands do you think those would be and why?
Okay. So I did have a specific hand that popped in my head right away, and I'm curious if I'm in the right ballpark here.
Yep.
Things I'm thinking are like hands like 2 overs with back doors, like King Queen of Hearts, for example.
Okay.
So that have nut potential, but also can get a lot of better hands to fold, like 9s and 3Xs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a 9's going to fold, but any like.
So yeah, I don't even know if a 3X is really going to fold here,
Right.
but you're kind of in the right ballpark because it's as far as value hands.
Remember, the board's Jack 9, 3, spade, heart, diamond.
Yep.
Okay.
So what? Let's start here. What value hands would you put into the big bet category?
Well, I don't want my sets to. I don't want to fold people out when I have sets here.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like, man, I'm struggling with this one. I'm just gonna go without thinking too deeply into it. I'm gonna say like Ace Jack.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think the two best are kings and queens.
Okay.
They're overpaired. They unblock the jack, which
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
I think ace jack.
That makes a lot of sense. Ace Jack might be even more tough because we block the hands that they're gonna call with.
Yeah.
But they could also have Jack King, Jack Queen, Jack 10 that they're gonna call with. But like you said, kings and queens are better because there's a few more combos of now jacks that can call.
Yep. And I think jacks down to like queen jack or jack 10 are still pretty good to bet big with because keep in mind our opponent, this isn't like any, they can have all the suited jacks. So they can have jack deuce suited.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a lot of value with a jack 10 here or a queen jack. And so, yeah, it's kind of like the strongest ones that aren't, if you have pocket jacks, you kind of block a lot of the hands that you're hoping
Okay.
they can call you with.
Okay. Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Say we have 8-10 here. Say we had, is 8-10-0 ever raising 3.5 pre?
Yeah.
Okay.
A ton of hands you can go both ways with. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So now 8-10 on this board again, Jack 9-3 rainbow.
Do you want me to look at do you want you to give me my instinctual reaction?
Instinctual. Yeah. So we're open-ended.
Yeah. I would. I think like queen 10 especially, but I think.
Because it's the nut straight draw.
Yeah. And we got the over.
This is our hands you said you would bet big with? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to get better hands to fold. Because obviously at those points we're it's a semi bluff where we have queen high or 10 high, etc.
Yep. Yeah, I think I would treat them pretty similar. So I would probably lean towards betting larger with 8-10. Now let's see what it says. It's weird. You can bet big, small, or check 10-8. So
all of the above.
It's sort of
across
like
the board.
Yeah.
That's boring.
I know, it's kind of boring. But yeah, then the bluffs you would want to do it with are like a little bit less intuitive. It's a lot of king high and queen high stuff with backdoors.
Okay.
But one thing I will say is one of the best hands to barrel multiple times would probably be clubs because then you unblock all the hands you get floated by.
Okay,
flop.
That makes sense. Yeah,
That's
like a low. Yeah, you don't think about that too much. Again, the reason he's saying clubs is because there's a spade, heart, and diamond on the board. So you're unblocking the ace 4 spades or hearts. Yeah, any of those backdoor hands. That makes sense. Okay, I like it. Should we move down to 15 bigs, or do you got something else on here?
So I got a few more flops. We could just do them much quicker.
Let's do it.
All right, so 9-9-3 rainbow.
Okay, betting small.
Yep. Now, it did say like 2 and 4 big blinds are both good, but I would lean towards 2.
A lot of these paired boards, whether it be ace jack or 9-9-3, I'm just going to be betting small from the small blind, almost 100%.
It's hard for people to have
anything, right? So we're just folding out all of the nothings, and then when they call, you can often deduce that they don't have a draw of any sort. So you know what I mean,
right?
So either they got a pair or they have a hand that you're just dead to, pretty much.
Yeah, and
sometimes you get floated by ace or king high.
And
blind versus
they
blind.
should float with more, but
They don't.
hard, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, if small blind did this and I'm in the big blind with, say the board is
Jack 8 suited.
993.
993. You have a backdoor straight flush draw.
Yeah, so
you should float 2 big blinds.
Yeah, so I'd float with that. I'd also float with some queen, king, and ace high that don't have backdoors.
That could just be good.
Yeah, because queen high can often be good here, blind versus blind, on a board like this.
All right, next one, ace, king, 3 rainbow. What's your instinct?
Bet big.
This is the one I would mess up.
Because I know
you almost always want to check.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because keep in mind, a lot of our aces and kings were limping pre, but they have all of their aces. Not literally all, but they have a lot more aces and kings.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're checking a ton here.
What intuitively, what would you do? I feel like
intuitively, I would bet small.
Bet small. Okay.
I would bet small and then bet big with like the ace queen, ace jack, or maybe jack 10 suited.
Okay.
That's more of a good strategy for when you're the in position raiser.
Okay.
King of spades, queen of spades, 3.
I think. So I'm just gonna say bet big again.
So it's check again.
Fuck.
But there is the nice thing here is there are some hands you want to bet big.
Okay.
And I'm not throwing this one in. I just took a few notes.
I was specifically talking about those hands, whatever they are.
You're a genius.
Thank you. I knew it.
So yeah, you want to check. Same kind of thing. I mean, the king queen board is actually not necessarily best for you.
Sorry about my phone there. But yeah, I'm assuming that this is for the same reason like the ace king board.
Yep. And then, so you want to bet one big blind sometimes, and then you want to bet full pot sometimes. And the full pot is going to be very polar. Mm-hmm. So your value is going to be like aces
and then there's going to be a lot of semi bluffs in there.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
And then the last board was 5-5-3 with a flush draw. So 5-5-3 2 hearts, we'll say.
This one's a little different. I think on this, because I know we had just mentioned betting small on a lot of these paired boards. I think on this one, this is
coordinated.
Yeah, it's a lot more coordinated. The 3 and the 5 create a lot of straight draws. The hearts create the flush draws in there. Plus, our opponent can have a lot of 3Xs in their hand and 5Xs. Obviously, 5Xs would suck, but I think I'm going to size up on this board.
Okay.
Into 8, I would go 3/4.
Okay. So it's the 2 most common here are check and bet 2 big blinds.
Small again. Wow.
But there are some hands you do want to bet like that with.
Okay.
And it's sort of.
Well, I know what I need to study.
Oh, me too. I mean, my instinct was the same on the ace king and the king queen, and then the 5-3. I think it was the same as far as the sizing. I think I would do some checking too.
Okay.
But like, yeah, and so the hands you do want to bet big, there are like pocket 6s and 7s and ace 5. It's sort of, we've talked about this before. Your big bet hands are the ones that are very likely to be ahead now and also very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, bluffs will be stuff like probably 6-7,
Okay.
So,
yeah, just no low equity junk hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is really interesting, and I know I am getting some stuff wrong in those spots. And when you're playing in position and the big blind calls, it's easy for, even though there's a little difference between each position, you can sort of lump your play style together. And, you're c-betting these boards, you're checking these boards. But blind versus blind is just so different. And
I find myself when in blind versus blind or heads up pots in general, I am trying to play the opponent more than I'm playing my range. Mm-hmm. You try to utilize both, but I feel like that's more of where my exploitative play comes in.
Yeah. Fun side note, and maybe we'll get into some of this in some episode.
Okay.
So I just started paying for the top subscription of GTO Wizard just for tournaments, but where you can do the AI solving. And basically what you can do for that is figure out how to play the correct solver style against, whatever you read your opponent as. So it's like how to play correctly based on whatever read you have.
Okay. Oh yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, and so I'm super interested to get into that because it's the sort of thing where we don't need to get into it now, but it's like if your opponent check raises on a monotone board and you think they only do it with a flush.
Like you said, the board solvers play is against an opponent who plays solver strategies, whereas this new AI technology, you can put what you think your opponent's play style is like, and then it will give you feedback on what you should do against that.
Yes, and so that is basically what people, I know when we had Ian on, that's basically what he's trying to do and how he plays. And
that's the correct way to use a solver.
That is the way you should use it. Yeah.
Don't follow it to a T, but use it as again, we've said this a million times, as a baseline strategy or as a foundation for your plays.
And then be like, okay, look at how your opponent is supposed to respond and be like, are they actually doing that?
Yep.
And if the answer is no, which it always is no to some extent, right? Now this tool will give you an ability to see, okay, well, if I think they play like this, then what should I do? And so I'm excited to get into that. And honestly, I think GTO Wizard should pay us a little money for the little advertisement.
Speaking of which, I think I'm going to send them an email this week.
That's a good idea.
Let's get it. I'm ready for that GTOW sponsorship.
There we go.
Or no, wait. I'm ready to sponsor GTOW.
Which one's better?
Yeah, I think they need us behind them. Yeah.
We're a lot bigger.
All right, so that's kind of, we'll cap off 35 bigs there. Let's move on to 15 bigs, and we'll keep it kind of relatively short here. But I think this is going to be a lot more jamming here.
It is. There's definitely a lot more of that. Technically, we're looking at 17 big blinds here for some reason. They have the 14 and 17 big blind charts.
All right, let's get to it.
So pre-flop small blinds, folds to you, ICM's not a factor.
Mm-hmm.
17 blinds effective. What is your thought as far as, what are you folding? What are you jamming? Do you have a small raise size you're using? And
ICM aside here. So I could probably get a little more dialed in if I had more time to think about it. But right off the top, I'm going to be considering, again, opponent dependent. I think the first thing I think about here is, what is my opponent likely to do? Are they going to raise me a lot here, or are they going to check back a lot? Mm-hmm. If I think my opponent is going to be raising a lot, if I limp, I'm going to be limping all of my strong hands, like all my nutted strong hands. We'll say sevens and up, maybe like ace queen suited, ace queen off. Even, exactly. Maybe even ace jack suited.
Yeah,
honestly, because I think that'll still be dominating a lot of our opponent's hands that will call off.
Perfect.
So I think those type of hands. And then as far on the opposite side, if I think my opponent's tight, I'm going to be jamming all the way down to like 7-8 suited.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that's just good regardless. And so, secondly, what is your sort of default jam here? Like, let's say you somehow haven't played a hand and have
zero information. I would probably rip like ace 10 off.
That's the only one?
That's it. Everything else is... No. If I have zero information on my opponents and I have 15 big blinds, what am I jamming?
Mm-hmm.
Probably like most aces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably all aces.
Suited or like offsuit, suited?
Probably... Although this might be incorrect, but the first thing that came to my head, I would say probably like down to, this seems silly, but like ace 4, ace 5 off.
Okay. Yeah,
just for a little bit of opportunity to get called by worse.
You can always get called by like
king X
Broadways and stuff. Yeah.
It just adds a couple more combinations in there.
Yeah. That's pretty much right. Like again, you can rip ace deuce off here.
Yeah, I know. Well, God. I don't. I would. I probably would.
You probably would. Yeah.
Tournament dependent as well. I bet you if it's the main event, the World Series of Poker main event, I'm probably not going to.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit tighter in that tournament.
We all are.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on.
I think that's
And
Yeah,
then
correct.
and then also I shouldn't just say all ace X's because that's very there's a lot more to it than that. So in terms of things that aren't ace hands, I would probably again remember heads up your ranges are going to be a lot wider. So I'd probably do like 15 big blinds. It's 17 big blinds, right?
17, yeah.
I mean, honestly, for me, it gets tougher as you range from 14 to 17 big because I feel like
There is a difference.
There's a difference
yeah.
between those two compared to like 30 to 35.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably almost every king X suited.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Suited kings.
Yeah, suited kings. King deuce. I wouldn't love it, and it's definitely not something I'm doing all the time. Again, opponent dependent. If I think they're tighter, I'd probably do all suited kings. But here's the thing: is you so often have I feel like it's printing.
It probably as long as the person's over folding a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the correct jams are like the small pairs, some smaller suited connectors type stuff.
Yeah.
And then all the offsuit aces pretty much.
Yeah. What about king suited, king X suited? We'll say non-suited Broadway kings.
Those you can jam. So this is, I think you alluded to earlier. This is one of those spots where the ace X and king X are better to jam if they're unsuited. Because if they're suited, they're kind of just stronger hands that can play better.
Yeah.
And then like the small pairs, some 9-7 suited, 8-6 suited, 7-6 suited, that kind of stuff.
How many big blinds did you have when you had pocket nines in the Gladiator last year? It was sub 20, right?
Oh, when I trapped
Yeah.
it, I had less than 10.
Yeah, less than 10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that obviously
And
that
then you
was such
flop a set.
Yeah, it helped a lot. So when you're sub 10 like that, then it's obviously just limp or shove.
Yeah.
In this situation, a lot of the pairs and the strong, like ace king, ace queen suited, king queen suited, you can raise, or you can raise like 2.5x. I actually, when I'm in the small blind tier, I still go closer to 3 just because I feel like I want that extra fold equity.
Yeah.
And I sort of
I like it.
Yeah. And the you can limp. I mean, when I say you can even, the charts say you can limp up to queens and then you should raise aces and kings. But I'm with you where if it's someone who I think is just going to raise a ton, I'm always going to limp aces and kings here too.
Yeah. Because you're just more often than any other way going to be able to get your chips in against theirs.
Yeah, and it actually sort of surprised me to see that it doesn't want to limp those at all, because those are going to be the least vulnerable overpairs. And even if they just have like 9-5 suited and check, you're more likely to get chips on the flop because they could flop a pair and then now you're kind of coolering them.
And I bet if you were to put in that AI version of what you think your opponent's range would be, that version of the solver would tell you to limp aces and kings.
Yeah, if they're over raising.
Yeah.
Do you want a quick look at if we limp and they raise, what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, I'm down for
this.
that.
This wasn't even part of my plan, but I feel like
I feel
like we should, because I think this is a spot for people listening where, we know that we're supposed to limp a lot from the small blind, but man, it just feels like they raise a lot, and I don't want to put in, I have under 20 bigs, I don't want to put in 3 bigs.
Yeah.
But let's say the big blind does raise 3x here, and then we are back in the small blind. What are we folding? What are we calling? What are we jamming? I think the jams are going to be a little bit more intuitive here. Like,
this kind of boils down to my for 17 bigs.
Yes.
Probably all suited aces.
Pretty much. There are a couple that are supposedly wanting to call more, but I think if you're going to jam all the suited aces, that's fine.
I feel like all suited aces. And then probably I would say like my lowest suited king would be like king 9 suited.
Okay. Unfortunately, it says just to call all of those.
It does. Okay. I like to just stuff it in their face though and just take the chips sometimes.
Yeah, and I honestly would do that with some.
So you have king 9 of spades here. You just gonna flat the 3 big blinds and then play post? No
I
ICM?
probably would, yeah.
Okay.
I probably would.
Again, this isn't 100%, but I'm just thinking of hands that I could potentially do it with.
Yeah. I think if I'm putting myself in this spot, I'm going to limp jam. Any pairs that I limped, I'm going to jam, even though it kind of wants you to trap the highest pairs. I'm probably going to end up jamming. And then I think the aces and yeah, see, this is a mistake I'll make too, where I'll say that range and it's all pairs and ace-x. And so, I'm looking at the chart now and it says to sometimes jam king deuce off, king four off. And I'm like, don't think I've done that in my life.
No, yeah, that's a bit different, right? So I might not find all those spots. Okay, and then I think hands I'm just going to be open. I know we're on. If you were to limp, what's the bottom of your limping there on 17 big? So with a pair.
Oh, like what am I not just ripping in?
Yeah. Are you ripping nines?
No. Like going back before the initial raise.
Yes. Are you limping nines?
I'm either limping or raising nines small.
Oh, okay. You would limp, though. I guess that's my question.
Yeah. I don't see any real benefit to jamming. I mean, I guess we can fold out queen 10 off or something.
I mean, when you play online, you get a lot of ace-x calls that you have dominated.
You do, but if you raise those small, those are going to jam a lot of the time.
And then you'll just get the value that way more frequently. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I know I make a lot of, I would say probably the majority of my pre-flop mistakes are all like blind versus blind
It's
stuff.
so clear how different this is compared to other things different, things we've studied in the past, cutoff opens or any type of open, early position open, whereas blind versus blind, the game just gets a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
It's healthy and nice to see that I'm making these issues because it gives me information on where I can improve.
Me too, yeah. Okay, so I don't have the chart up for this right now.
Yeah.
Let's say small blind jams the 17 bigs. You're in the big blind.
What am I calling?
Yeah, what's the bottom of your calling range?
I would say probably like this one. I would probably go with like ace 8 suited, maybe.
My guess is you're a little too tight.
Too tight, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably here's the thing. It's a tough spot. I give a lot of credit to 17 bigs. Just knowing how I play 17 bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is very opponent dependent. I'm not going to use that as a cop out. Did your computer just die? Nice. Oh no, you're good. You're back in business. Nice. But this not to cop out, opponent dependent. I think it depends on if I think my opponent's jamming light or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So let's just answer this. What you would now, I'm not saying what your GTO response would be, but you sit down in a tournament that you're normally in.
Yep.
You somehow know nothing about this opponent, and
King Jack
what
off.
is your default? Okay, King Jack off. As far as offsuit aces,
probably like. I know this is tight blind versus blind because I could have worse, but I'd rather have a lot more dominating spots than 60-40 spots. So I'd probably do like ace 10.
Chippy V though. Chippy V.
I
it's
know.
Not...
I know. I just, again, this might be wrong, but we'll just say it. I think I'm going to probably do like ace 9 or ace 10 off.
Okay. And then like ace 8, maybe ace 7.
Ace 7 suited, I think, yeah.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, like you'll see me in an online bird where I'll just call it off with like ace 4 off here.
Yep.
But that's because I know my opponent's going to be jamming a lot worse.
Okay.
But this is with not having any information. And one thing I want to say also is that when I don't have any information on an opponent, I tend to tighten up versus that opponent until I have more information.
And I think that would probably be, I think that, so that's probably just an adjustment to what the average player is like in the tournament fields that you and I play in.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, cool. And then are you folding pocket deuces?
No. We're just flipping.
Yeah.
We're just flipping. And sometimes the opponent has ace deuce.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes they have ace deuce.
So before I pull up the chart, I will say I'm also calling all the pairs. I'm calling all the suited aces. I'm calling king 10 off maybe.
King 10 off, okay.
But maybe. Like king jack off is kind of
What's your lowest suited king?
king 9 suited. Maybe.
Okay. Just because we can have all the other king X's dominated that might jam that.
They
the
might
king
not
X
even
suiteds.
jam. It's just also like king 9 suited has a little more equity.
I think a
against
lot of
everything.
king 8, king 7, and king 6 and king 5 suiteds in the fields we play, which we're kind of relating, will jam here.
Okay.
Okay, anyways.
I don't know, but so that's I sort of agreed with what you said before, where it feels like they're tighter.
Yeah. Okay.
know.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of online recently.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of weird shit online. So maybe my view is skewed because people blast some. I mean, obviously you play against a lot better players who make a lot better types of plays, but you also play against people who just can click a button away and then jam. So
Yeah. And then anyway, so as far as offsuit aces, I would go down to like probably ace 5.
ace 5 offsuit.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I think suited broadways, I would call like maybe all of them. Jack 10 suited just has a lot of equity. And
Against you specifically, it's 100% call with all hands.
I was waiting for
Every single hand.
Yeah. And this is sort of, they should be able to, and I'm talking a little bit more about online or what my default setting is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling a lot of these suited broadways because they should be jamming the small suited connectors, suited gappers. So we can be ahead. And then a ton of the time when we're behind, we have almost 50% with suited Broadway type hand.
It just sucks when we also have a 17 big blind. It makes, obviously we're discussing, if we both have 15 or 17 big blinds, but my range will widen if I have 60 big blinds here and my opponent's jamming 15.
Yes. Practically speaking, that's correct because ICM is always a bit of a thing.
Yep.
Should we do the reveal? Should I just see what the chart says?
Yep.
All right. So small blind all in.
It's a boy. Oh, wait. That's the wrong reveal.
All right. So I was right to be looser than you, but I was not even loose enough.
Oh, okay. So it's even wider.
Yep. So
all aces?
Ace
Unsuited?
deuce off folds.
Okay, so ace 3 and up. Okay,
Yeah.
off.
And all the suited aces. So I was right about the aces, and we were both right about all the pairs. We can go down to king 7 suited. We can even, all the suited 9, like 10-9 suited, jack 9 suited, all those can call.
Isn't that kind of what I was saying? That you can call wider with king X suited here? Or was I not?
You did say that, but it also, like, I didn't understand why you said it because you were going tighter with all the ace X.
Yeah. Okay, fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we can call lighter with the suited kings. And yeah, king 10 off is a call, king 9 off is sort of a mix. So we didn't talk about like queen jack off suit or jack 10 off. Those are kind of break even.
I don't love calling off with those hands.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sometimes have the best hand, and sometimes you can have your opponent dominate if you're playing online for sure. But I think one important consideration to take in is if you have 17 big blinds, if you're both at 17 big blinds here, do you really want to play for your tournament life?
So yeah, and this is a good clarification. A lot of times it's no, but we're talking chip EV, so your tournament life is not a consideration here.
Okay.
So this is the same thing as if it was
I always calculate. I'm so used to calculating my tournament life into my decision, so that's kind of why I probably have tighter ranges there.
And you're correct to do so, because like if we look at, even if usually when you have 17 bigs and your opponent has 17 bigs, you're not like level 2 of a tournament.
Okay.
It could even be kind of early, level 8 or 9, but even then, like if there's still 50% of the field left, you still want to tighten up a little bit theoretically. And even if I don't think you or I don't know the 50% of the field left ICM pre-flop charts very well.
Right.
But I think you play a lot and you intuitively know, okay, maybe registration just ended and there's half the field or 35, 40% of the field left. Like, my tournament life means a little something more now than it did right at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Should we wrap up this and get to our new segment?
Yeah. Okay, this is exciting.
I hope, first off, before we get into that, I just want to say I hope you guys really enjoyed the discussion of blind versus blind play. It's clear that it's very hard to maneuver correctly compared to other parts of the game. It's something that's very important to study because oftentimes you will find it fold to the small blind and then your head's up all of a sudden against, in a blind versus blind pot. So if you're looking to improve your game, that's a great place to work on as well. I mean, Wes and I both obviously need work there. Wes more so than me, clearly.
The way today's been going, I had a feeling that was coming.
I'm a little spicy today. It's all good. But anyways, we got a new segment here that we wanted to introduce to the podcast. This was suggested by our Discord mod, Mr. Pagogo.
Yeah, Isaiah Paguyo. He's actually
it says Pagogo. His last name is Paguyo.
Yeah. So he's actually a buddy of mine. We went to school together, middle school, high school. We played chess together. He's quite a good chess player. So
the question of the day is, how do you think Worldwide Wes handles your handsomeness and charisma without going full Gyllenhaal Ledger? That one's from Colden MN. Just kidding. That's not the question we're going with, but I found that hilarious.
We'll give that one some thought. But I think so. The question we're going to go with, actually, Pagogo, he put the first one in there, and since he suggested the idea, I think
this is a great question.
It is a good question.
Let's hear it. And I'm going to let you answer this one, Wes, because you have a good recollection of one.
I have a very funny
I'll state the question.
Okay, go ahead.
So Pagogo says, what's the biggest blow up you two have seen from a player in a live game? I've seen so many crazy blow-ups, but I know Wes has a good one here, so let's go with that.
Yeah, so this one may or may not be the biggest, but it was really funny for multiple reasons. So this was 2022. I was in day one of the Monsters stack at the World Series.
Oh, that just happens to be one of my favorite events in the whole entire world.
Yeah, it's a great one. And so one thing that maybe not everyone knows about it is you're only allowed to register once per day here. So every day one flight is a freeze out. And
which changed this year.
Does it?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, maybe not.
They know what it was though. They added a third day one.
Maybe that's what I'm remembering. So it's not one reentry per flight. It's just one. That's right.
Additional.
That's what. Yeah. Okay, continue.
So, anyways, that will kind of play in at the end of this story, but. So there's this guy, probably in his 50s or something, clearly a recreational player, right?
Okay.
We're in the middle of day one, and he limps in early position.
I don't remember this as of yet.
Yeah. I may have told you once, but I didn't really know you that well because this was in 22.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have told you at the time.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy who has been playing. I don't think he's like a pro, but he's in his 30s, and it seems like he kind of knows.
He's competent.
Doing. Yeah.
Maybe.
After this hand, I don't know if I thought that so much.
Let's hear about it. So we're late into day one?
It's kind of middle. Like I'm going to guess the big blind is 600.
Okay. So we're probably like 6 hours into the first day.
Yeah. So he has, man, I wish. All I remember is, so this guy in his 30s, he had probably close to 40 blinds.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been more, but around 40. So good stack, but it's still less than starting at this point. You start with 50K, and big blind might have been 800. Doesn't matter. He has under starting stack, but still plenty to play with.
Okay.
So the guy limped in early position, and he makes it like 3.5 or 4x. He's trying to isolate the limper.
Right.
Nothing weird about the hand. It folds back around to this guy in his 50s who limped, and he just snap all in.
He sends it.
Yeah, and he has the guy covered by quite a bit, but he puts him all in.
But that's a massive jam clearly for over 40 bigs.
Yes.
Oh God. What's it?
And so the guy in his 30s thinks a bit, and he just sort of shrugs like he knows it's probably not great, but he calls and turns over king, queen of diamonds.
Okay.
The old guy has 2 kings.
What the hell?
So, yeah, huge pot, like probably close to 80 big blinds here.
Yeah.
2 kings against king, queen of diamonds. Flop is 10-5-3 with like the 5 of diamonds.
Okay.
So kings are in great shape.
Okay.
turn is the jack of diamonds.
Oh, so
suddenly
he's got a flush draw and a straight draw.
a 15 out draw here.
Yeah.
And so the old guy, he had been just sort of quiet, and he
Perked up.
He was just like, oh, no. So he said something like, no, not that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the river was not a diamond. I don't remember if it was a 9 or an ace, but it gave the guy the straight who called it off.
Gross.
So the older guy doesn't notice this. He's kind of like, whew, and starts pulling in the chips. And then he realizes people are like, there's a straight.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just envision a football player spiking a football in the end zone after a touchdown. He takes his fist and just pounds the table with that sort of force.
Oh my
I had a
God.
stack of chips that just fell over.
So, okay.
So we're not even started.
Oh, God.
So he's like, what the fuck?
Oh, so he starts raging.
Yeah, he pounds the table, and then he just stands up, puts his hands on his head, and walks like 10 feet. He knows he didn't bust or anything, but he's just so frustrated.
Yeah.
And he just walks away and then comes back, and he's like, they're still counting out the chips, the guy who doubled, and the guy who won the pot feels a little sheepish. Like he knows that was probably a bad call.
Yeah.
And obviously, he was in terrible shape. So then the older guy, you know how a vlogger will kind of have their phone out, film it all in? So he hadn't done that at all. He clearly was not a vlogger. He had not.
Oh, no, he pulled out the phone and just went all in next hand or what?
No. He pulled out the phone at this point, and he turns to the guy who called him and says, he puts the camera on him. He's like, so could you tell me what you were thinking? Are
you kidding me? That's the greatest thing ever.
And you know how people ask a question as if they're saying, no, I'm just curious. Like,
it was
I'm not
condescending.
mad. It's like, I'm not mad. I'm just curious. Like, what made you decide to call? But clearly he is fuming.
He wants that call all day.
He does. And
yeah.
And it was just so funny seeing this guy in his 50s sort of act like a guy in his 20s. You know, the only time I see that usually is someone in their 20s. They'll whip out the phone to film the all-in moment.
Yeah. He just aims it right at the
He just turns to him and looks him in the eye and is like, so what were you thinking by that?
How did the dude react?
So this is where it all comes full circle. He shrugged, like he clearly knows it was not a great play, but he said, I just wanted to double up a rebuy. Now remember, you can't rebuy.
Oh, no.
And so at this point, I speak up and I tell him, you can't rebuy. Like, it's one bullet per flight. And he says, oh, and just sort of chuckles. So the funniest part, not even the funniest, but the last bit of it is just, this guy made sort of a punty, like, I either want to have a stack or just rebuy, which is a terrible way to play. But we've discussed this too about how having any sort of way of thinking that the starting stack is a point where you need to stay above is a flaw. It's a leak. Yes.
You do not need to think that. You just need to take the amount of big blinds you have and figure out how you can play that to the best you can. Obviously, this guy, yeah.
So this is where I realized, like, no, this guy isn't even a good player. Like But the funniest part of it is, from the perspective of this old guy, now he knows that if this guy had just known that you're not allowed to rebuy,
that hand wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, like he wouldn't have just lost this huge pot for no reason.
I do like this. This is a great story. I will say one thing about this story is that I was expecting more of like a play blow up, not an emotional blow up.
Okay, yeah. So this is like a Phil Hellmuth
Yeah, which
thing.
is completely fine. He didn't clarify which kind of blow up. Yeah. So I like it.
Yeah, that was a funny one. I don't really...
I've never seen that, though. A guy film the guy who put a beat on him and ask him that. That's pretty incredible.
It's so rude first. Like, yeah, you took a bad beat, but that's still pretty rude to just get up in the guy's face. And
that's terrible. Yeah, I meant, like, don't film me. Like, what do you want? I called because I wanted to bust your ass. Like, that's the end of the story.
Yeah. And, as pro, semi-pro type of player, players who are playing for profit, we know we sort of have a responsibility to keep our shit together at the table and make the experience good. when a recreational player does that, you can kind of shrug it off. Like, as long as they're not completely, he
Over
wasn't
the
like,
line. Yeah.
there was no like physical confrontation.
Yeah. Like, let's go outside.
Yeah. But yeah, it was bad etiquette, even though I understand him being tilted, especially kings versus king queen and just a clean flop.
I mean, yeah, and so if I'm the kings in that spot as a professional and having a professional mindset, you go, that's what I want all day, and you move on.
Yeah.
I mean, you cringe inside a little bit, but I think, and okay, it's okay to have emotion, but taking your phone out and filming the dude and be like, what were you thinking? Like interviewing him, that's incredible. I've not seen that at a poker table before.
Yeah, and it was probably the biggest just punch of the table I've ever seen.
It just slams. I've seen people slam the table, and it'll be like, oh my God, this guy is lit up right now. Yeah, it's a good start. So, guys, if you were interested in getting a question on the Suited Kings podcast, I just opened up a new channel on our Suited Kings Discord called Questions for the Pod. If you're interested in getting one of your questions answered, make sure to join our Discord by going to my Twitter at Deuce Newcomb. You'll find a pinned tweet right at the top to get access to it. You can hop right in. It's all completely free. You can answer. You can get into the general chat and just talk, make some new friends. You can hop into the hand dissection section. That was crazy.
That thing has been there. I'm way
hand
behind
review
on
section.
It. Yeah, there are so many hand reviews, and it's a lot of really good analysis.
It is so and we have a ton of really competent players in there, really breaking these hands down. If you want to improve your game, hop in there and just throw a hand in there and see what people think about it. And then also there's suggestions for content you want to hear on the pod, things like that. Just get into the Discord. I know I promote this every single time. There's a reason for it. It's growing. It's a great place for you to learn. I think that's all I have for that, Wes. Anything else you want to finish this episode on?
That's all. As we're recording this, I'm going to probably drive directly from here to Canterbury to play day one of the 800.
That's awesome, man. So I've decided, I've made an executive decision. I'm going to take the next couple weeks off, build my hunger for the World Series of Poker. You and I both will be there at the end of this month in 12 days, I think.
God, is it 12?
It's the 16th and the 28th.
In 13 days is the first tournament we're playing.
It's close, man. We're there.
Jeez.
So we got one more WSOP prep for you next week, I believe, is what we're going to land on there. Hopefully it'll be a special one for you guys. We'll see what's going to happen there. But other than that, I'm going to take a couple weeks off here, build that hunger, develop my appetite a little bit. Wes, good luck this weekend in the Canterbury Spring Championship main. Quick shout out to some of our Discord members who've had success at the series so far at Canterbury. I think Al Baker got a 5th in there. Tyler.
I think that was an online one, actually.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, it was.
The global, there was a lot of players.
It was. So, well, congrats to him in whatever tournament was in. Taylor, I called him Tyler in person the other day. And he's like, hey, Matt. That was witty. I liked it.
Yeah.
Taylor, I think, just won the bounty at Canterbury. He posted a picture of the trophy. So I think you won that.
That's awesome.
Congrats to you, Taylor. Congrats to
Mike
Puddinhead.
Yeah, he got second. Mike Wilklow is his name, but yeah, Puddinhead. He got second in
the $400 deep stack.
Yeah,
or mega stack or whatever it is.
Yeah, for 14K.
14K. Congrats to you, Mike, another local crusher. Also want to give a shout out to Bovada Degen from our Discord, who sat to my left in day 1A of that $400 mega stack and 3-bet me the very first hand. I'll tell you a real quick story.
What does he look like?
He just looks like a young grinder who would just 3-bet you firsthand. That's what he looks like. I had no idea who he was. He sat down and
do you need me to, if I see him today, do you need me
just
to
lay it on him?
Yeah.
Just lay it on the salam. But after, so he 3-bets me. I'm like, oh, this. I could just tell he was like an online grinder immediately. I had no idea who he was. A few hands later, he looks at me and he's like, hey, I love the podcast. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, I'm Bovada Degen on there. I'm like, oh, all right, that makes sense. So nice to meet you, man. And then I, like an idiot, a couple hands later, I play a hand with a guy. It's a chop pot, and I didn't realize it. I mucked my hand. It didn't hit the mug, and Bovada Degen's like, chop, chop, chop. And I'm like, oh, it is a chop. I didn't realize it at first. It was a Jack. I don't even remember the board. It was like Jack 10-10X. I'm going to slaughter this because I don't remember it. But anyways, it was a chop pot. He realized it was a chop. My hand didn't hit the muck, so I pulled it back and tabled it and got the chop. So thank you for helping me chop
solid
that pot.
move. Solid move.
Sometimes it just happens. You just have a brain fart. You know what I mean? I looked at the board. Shut up, Wes.
That's actually we're rambling now, but that is how I won my first not first live poker hand, but first live poker hand at a casino at Canterbury.
Okay.
I was playing 2-4 limit way back in the day when I was 18. I think I had chopped one pot, but I was down $40, which was like big. And I bet the river, and this guy kind of looks at his cards and folds. And I had top pair, so I assumed I was best.
Yeah.
And the opponent next, or the person next to him was like, "You just mucked a straight." Went on to win like $80 that session.
That's a huge pot when you're just starting. Okay, Wes. Well, since I know you hate my outro, please.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. Okay. Guys, thank you for listening. Have a great whatever time of day it is that you're listening to this.
That's too simple.
We'll see you next time.
All right.